Borada, good morning. It is another Pilates session. So we did one before and I'm following it up now. I'm trying to get about 10 to 12 exercises into this session. You should have warmed up already. There's Sam again to help me, the dog. And yeah, just take it at your speed. We're going to do about 8 to 10 repetitions on each exercise. But if you want to do more, you can start when I start explaining, especially if you've seen this more than once. If you want to do less, of course, just have a little rest. Just listen to your body and only do what you need to do. I have got a band, so if you do have a band and you want to use it, or a towel, go get it now. Pause me. Otherwise, I'm going to have to shoo the dog off the mat and we'll get going. Okay. So, come on then, Sam. This happens every morning. So I'm going to bring myself into a sitting down position on the mat. I'm going to take my feet hip width apart and I'm going to see if I can think about just gently lengthening through the spine. So we have warmed up already, but we're just going to take a couple of shoulder rolls just in case. So I'm just rolling my shoulders up to the ears, relaxing those shoulders back down. Keeping that chest lifted, thinking about my belt. So I'm just gently drawing that tummy button in, just a notch 3 or 4. It's a little bit like doing up that tight pair of trousers. Then I'm going to take my hands to the thighs. I'm going to tighten that belt. I'm just going to lift my chest over my thighs. And then I'm just going to push this tailbone down into the mat. I'm going to roll back up through that spine. So again, tighten the belt. We're going to breathe in. And as we breathe out, we're just lifting that chest over those thighs. Then we're going to roll all the way back up through that spine. Soften those shoulders. We can take those feet a little bit further away if you feel comfortable. Tighten the belt. We're going to breathe out. And then we're going to just roll through that spine. Really push that tailbone down into the mat. Relax the shoulders. Slide those shoulder blades down the mat towards the bottom. Now we're going to think about this time just creating that little pelvic tilt. So if I had a tail, okay, I'm going to see if I can push that tail towards my knees. Good. So we're getting that bucket of water in the pelvis. We're just tipping water out of the back of the bucket, tipping water out of the front. Now we're going to tip some water out of the back of the bucket, and then we're just going to see if we can press the lowest part of that spine down into the mat. We're going to roll back up through that spine. Very nice. So you notice I'm turning my head to towards you. I'm going to now keep my chin in line with that chest, and I'm just going to roll down, not all the way, just part way. We're just getting a little bit of a warm up in that spine. So we're tilting that bucket, tilting that pelvis, just starting to press the lowest part of the spine into the mat, then rolling back up. Nice dog snog. Okay, let's see now if we can bring it all the way down. You may need those hands to support you, or you may need to come down where you feel comfortable. Okay, now I've gone up my mat, so I'm going to come down. I've gone up my back, I'm going to come down, and we're just going to make sure that head and neck are nicely aligned. We're going to see if those feet are hip width apart, and we're going to go back to those little pelvic tilts. So if I was to put my hands, fingers towards the pelvic bone, thumbs on the belly button, what I'm trying to do here is get the belly button and the pubic bone aligned. So the thumbs and the fingers, if they were on a clock face, 6 and 12. And we're just trying to make sure that they're the same height. Now I'm going to tilt my pelvis and see if I can get those fingers higher than the thumbs. So it's very much that pelvic tilt. Imagine just tipping the clock face. So the 12 is slightly higher than the 6, and then we're bringing them back to the same height. Good, just tilting that pelvis. What you'll notice is here, that gap between your back and the floor becomes nothing. but we don't want to arch your back away from the floor. So what we don't want is for the thumbs to become higher than the fingers. Okay, let's find that place, that neutral spine, where the 12 and the 6, the thumbs and the fingers are flat. And then we're going to see if we can just take that little tilt again. So the 12 is higher than the 6. We're going to squeeze the bottom. We're going to see if we can peel this spine away from the mat. So that chin is in line with the chest. I'm going to bring my heels in ever so slightly. Those knees pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Good. Now we're squeezing these bottom muscles. We're going to breathe in at the top. And as we come back down, we're going to press each little segment of the spine, one little piece at a time, down into that mat. Let's see if I can change that angle ever so slightly. So we're really using the bottom muscles, the hamstring muscles, and we're going to come all the way back down. Now let's think about your breathing. So we're going to breathe in through the nose to prepare. As we breathe out gently through that mouth, we're squeezing those bottom muscles, drawing that belt-like muscle in, breathing in at the top, and keeping that belt at 3 or 4. We're going to breathe out with control, and we're going to come back down with control. Good, everyone. That's really good. So we're just going to take one more of these, and then we're going to come all the way back down. Now I'm going to see if I can bring one foot and then the other into my chest. Okay, so I'm just going to hug those knees in. I'm also going to see if I can just change the angle of my mat ever so slightly. Okay, that's it, that's it. So, she says, I've just completely messed it up. There we go. I'm just seeing if that's going to be better. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we're just going to practice our single leg stretch. So we're going to tighten our belt. Imagine drawing these hip bones together. We've got that neutral pelvis, so the natural curve at the base of the spine. We're going to bring one leg into tabletop, so that knee is over the hip. Now if we want to make it more challenging, we can bring both legs into tabletop. Now all we're going to do, breathe in to prepare. As we breathe out, we're making sure this lower back does not arch away from the mat. So the work is coming on here. If we want to make it more challenging, we can bring with control both legs into tabletop. Now we're going to just make sure those shoulders are relaxed. We're going to do 8 on the right, and then we're going to do 8 on the left. Good, so in double leg tabletop, this is what it looks like. Single leg, like this. Now if we want to make it more challenging, in single leg, we can lower those legs. Oh, I'm just about touching my bike. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both legs, I'm going to make this toe a little bit higher. So just imagine you're pressing a button on the wall, just reaching for that light switch, breathing out and in, and then we're going to change legs. So we're going to breathe out and we're breathing in. Now as you breathe out, this is where the bulk of the work is going on here, because what the back wants to do is sort of almost assist this movement by arching. So we're trying not to allow that pelvis to tilt, not to let the back come away from the mat. This is where we're going to get those strong muscles to support the trunk. Good, I've lost count. Let's give it 2 more, roughly 8 on the right, 8 on the left. Now watch these shoulders. I'm starting to tense up, so we've got to try and relax those shoulders, allow those shoulder blades to sink into the mat and let the work be done here. Now let's see if we can bring one knee and the other knee into that chest again. Good. And then we'll just take a nice little movement just to get that spine nicely loosened up. We're going to tighten the belt. We've got the knees together and the feet together, arms nice and relaxed. Notice my arms aren't here. They're just slid away from the shoulders. The shoulders are nice and relaxed. We're going to breathe out, tighten that belt, allow the belt to control the movement. Good. When we talk about the belt, remember, it's like this corset of muscles, and they're designed to just stabilize the trunk, the pelvis, and the spine. So what we can do is just let that head move in the opposite direction. Just really breathing out. So we can use activities like this to be very mindful. We can be very aware of our breathing, very aware of what's going on deep in that body. And it can just take your mind off some of the things that are going on in life at the moment. It's all very, very unknown, I would say, is the word. Okay, so I'm going to come on this mat a little bit further over. And what we're going to try and do next, she said, what happens if I do that? What happens if I do that? Okay, we're all right. Now, what we're going to do next is a little bit more abdominal work. So we're going to see if we can set these core muscles. We're going to take one hand onto that tummy. We're going to take one hand under the head. Now what we're not doing is pulling that head. We're going to lift the rib cage just a fraction as we breathe out. So imagine just lifting your shoulder blades off the mat. Breathe out, hold it there, and breathe in, bring it back down. So we're really squeezing these muscles here. It's a fraction of a movement, holding that neutral spine, breathe out. So we can imagine that long neck. We're going to do the same again. Really pull that tummy button towards your spine, away from the hand. Imagine you're making a shorter distance between the ribs, base of the ribs and the top of the pelvis. And back down. If you want to make it a little bit harder, don't make the range bigger. See if we can take one hand, still draw that tummy button. Breathe out, squeeze. We can hold it a little bit longer if you want to make it harder. And then relax it down. Good. And again. Good. Breathing out. I can see a little Billy Tagg. Hello. Do you want to come and wave to everyone just to take my mind off the abject pain? Good. And we're going to do one more. Good. Squeeze. And if you wanted to make it a little bit more challenging now, we can keep that little orange between the chin and the chest. We could just take a little pulsing movement, and then we're going to bring one hand and the other hand back, bring it back down. Okay, what we're going to do now, guys, is we're just going to lengthen out, keep drawing that tummy button in, so keep that belt at notch 3 or 4. We're going to take one arm and the other arm overhead. If this feels uncomfortable, don't do it. Just stretching out those tummy muscles. And then we're going to bring those arms to the side. We're just going to bend those knees. We're going to bring you onto your side. Ready for those side leg lifts. Oh, it's the pedal on my bike. But I'll try not to hit my pedal. So, we're just making sure those heels are not, where are the heels? They're not behind you, because that's going to encourage you to arch your back. So either in line with that tailbone, even slightly forwards of the tailbone if you prefer. So we're going to support the head here. Okay, let's just check you can see me okay. Now you may find you can take that arm here, you may need a little bit of support. Now draw this tummy button away from the mat. Okay, really, really focus on balancing. We're going to breathe out. We're going to breathe in. Good. So if you want to make it more challenging, we can take that support away. If we want to make it more challenging again, we'll see if we can float this lower leg. So again, we're going to do 8 of these. We're breathing out. We're breathing in on the way back down. Good. So we're moving. The knees are facing forwards. We've got those headlights on the hip bones. They're shining on that wall in front of you. And the beam of light isn't moving at all. We're breathing out. Breathing in. Good. So we've just got a couple more of these. Breathing out. Oh, there we go. Sam's excited because the kids are coming in. Good. Go on, boys. Come on. Breathing out. Breathing in. So again, mindful. You might find you can take a little balance here. You might find we can take it overhead. And then we're going to breathe in. we're going to breathe out and out again. Good. There we go. Excellent work. Let's just bend those knees, 90-degree angle. Let's see if we can take one hand and then the other hand. I might just roll my mat up to give myself a little bit of leverage. Keep that neck nice and long. We're going to breathe out and in. Good. So this is all about flexibility, spine, chest, front of the shoulders, and just a really nice way to relax. Breathe out. I always feel there's some moves that are sort of feel-good moves, some that feel a bit hard moves, and everyone is different. So the importance is a little bit of variety. So the side leg lifts, we were working these little mini glutes here, we were working these core muscles to stabilize you. We're going to come onto our backs again. I've grouped the abdominal work together a little bit more today. And what we're going to practice now is making sure this back remains in neutral. So we're going to see if we can just prepare, lengthen through that spine, relax the shoulders, find that neutral spine position, and then we're going to tighten this belt, draw it in. You may need a little bit more like notch 5 on this one. Hello, Sam. Okay, can you see I'm bringing the other leg up? Now we're going to have a little play with these legs. We did this last time. So notice what happens. If the knees come a little bit closer, it's easier to stop that lower back from arching away from the mat. If we take the knees a little bit further away, can you see I'm almost wanting to arch my back? So I'm going to have to really draw that tummy button in to bring it back to neutral. So find a position you think, yeah, I can hold, which is challenging but not impossible. And then we're going to breathe in. We're going to float these arms up. Now let's see if we can take one arm moving from the shoulder. Notice I'm not bending my elbow. We're breathing out. We're breathing in. Good. We're breathing. Now as this arm comes overhead, make sure that lower back doesn't arch. Make sure the ribs don't pop. So imagine a steel thread from the base of the ribs to the top of the pelvis, stopping anything from moving. Breathing out. So not only is this good for those core muscles, it's actually really good just to get these shoulders moving a little bit without something else doing the work. See if we can take them both together. Breathing out and in. Good. Now remember, if it gets too much, bring the knees in. Okay, breathing out and in. If you want to make it harder, we can actually start to straighten out those legs, and the lower those legs go, the harder it becomes. Okay, I'm going to bend mine again. Haven't been doing enough practice, so I really want to make sure I don't hurt my back. Breathing out and in. Now we're making circles. Palms facing each other. Just, I'm hitting the grate. Breathing out. And then I'm going to bring those knees into the chest. I'm going to roll like a ball. Ah, brilliant, guys. So you should feel these abdominal muscles have had a little bit of a workout. Now what we're going to do next is we're just going to see if we can come onto our sides again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can just roll up, and I'm going to either bring myself like that. Okay, and we're going to just bring the feet the other way. Okay, so let's hope I don't bash my bike again. We've got those hips stacked, remember, one on top of the other. We're going to imagine that I'm posting a letter between your waist and the floor. We're going to relax this shoulder. Watch out for that. Okay, it's quite good because I can sort of see myself, and I can see the bad habits I get into when I'm teaching you. So maybe we'll all come out of this stronger. Ooh, I don't know, can you hear those kids in the background? Okay, so we're going to breathe out. We're going to breathe in. Good. Breathe out. Now you may find one side is stronger than the other. This is definitely not my strongest side. So I'm going to challenge by floating the lower leg, but I've still got this hand there. I'm going to try and do as little sort of movement on it as possible. And we've got 4 more of these. Breathing out. I believe we're just drawing this tummy button, lengthening through the spine, relaxing those shoulders. Good. Now we're going to hold that static pose. Can we? I can only go that far. I don't think I'm going to be able to take the overhead. But if you can, keep drawing that tummy button in. Try not to arch that back. Then we're going to lower, lower, and into our open door. Good. Excellent work, chums. I'm just going to roll this mat. Okay, we've got... oh, the joys. Breathing out. Yeah. I've got 2 like monster children just like waving at me. And it's not a thumbs up either. They're quite rude, I would say, friends. Breathing out. And breathing in. Good. So it's useful to have distractions. Very useful to have distractions. Because it's sort of training you just to take yourself internally, even if it's nice distractions. I mean, who could think of anything better than being distracted by those guys? Okay, we're going to bring ourselves up to a seated position. So sometimes I get us to sit in this Z-sit position. Sometimes we sit in this position. I think we'll choose this position today. So we've got those knees bent. And what we're going to just think about doing is relaxing the shoulders. And we're going to take our mermaid stretch. So we're going to breathe out. Breathe in, relax those shoulders down. Breathe out, breathe in, relax those shoulders down. Breathe out, breathe in, relax those shoulders down. Isn't that right, Sam? Yes, he's having a stretch at the same time. Breathe. Good. So while we're doing this, we're thinking about, yes, relaxed shoulders. We're going to imagine almost drawing up that pelvic floor. So imagine you were stepping into the sea and very cold. And when the seawater hits that part of your body, we're just going to draw up, draw up. Good. Now, let's just see if we can bring those feet together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn, but you can stay how you are. I'm just doing it so you can see me. And this time going to straighten out those legs, toes pointed or toes pulled up to the ceiling, however you want to go with it. And what we're going to do is just imagine that big Easter egg. We're going to hug it in, then we're going to lift it over that chest. We're going to breathe out. And we're going to roll back up through that spine, slide those shoulder blades down that back. Good. Let's just see if we can walk into that seawater again. Draw up, breathe out, and then we're just going to gently breathe in. Good. Relax the shoulders. Let's take one more of those. And then we're going to come all the way. Good. Now, at this point, we're going to roll back down into that lying down position. We can do it from our roll down. Don't forget that pelvic tilt. Okay, we can roll down if we feel comfortable with that. All right, or if we're not comfortable with that, what we can do is we can bend these knees and just support our way down. Support that way down. And yet again, I'm going to come back onto that mat. We're going to see, guys, if we can roll over onto our backs. So a little bit of a shifty around. I'm sure I could have done this better, but let's come onto our backs. Now remember, quite often we let this back arch and we just let that tummy just into the mat. So we don't want that to happen. So what we do want to happen is for you to find that neutral spine. So instead of letting that back arch naturally, okay, just letting the tummy let's think about lying nice and long. Imagine just that tail sticking straight towards the skirting board rather than letting that tail push up towards the windows. So we're lengthening here and we're imagining that bed of hot coals. So we're going to really draw that tummy button away from the hot coals. Lovely. That sounds perfect. Now the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to practice using the lower back muscles. So we've got the arms here for support, forehead on the mat or the towel, relax the shoulders, and we're just going to gently lift this chest, squeeze the bottom muscles, squeeze the back muscles, and we're just going to lift that chest. And we're going to breathe in. So we're going to breathe out, and we're going to breathe in. Good. You can put your toes underneath you if you need to, particularly if you get cramp. Guess who's getting cramp? Now, I'm going to make it a bit more challenging. I've got my hands in less of a supporting position. I'm reaching with these fingertips to the outside of my ankles. Good. And then another thing we can do is take those palms, so they're turning upwards. As we lift the chest, we're going to turn the palms inwards, reach to the ankles, and back down. Good. And again, we're going to turn, we're going to reach. Breathing out and in. And then we're going to just relax these arms down. This time make this bottom really jelly-like, and we're going to take that triangular position, rectangular position. Make sure those elbows aren't higher than the shoulders. So get those elbows slightly lower than the shoulders or equal to. I'm going to turn myself ever so slightly. I'm hoping you can see it. Yes. Okay, here we go. Tummy button drawn in. Tail pushing to the skirting boards, not to the ceiling. We're going to squeeze these elbows away from the carpet, from the floor. Breathing out and in. Good. So we're taking our focus into those upper back muscles we're working. We're drawing that tummy button in all the time, particularly on that breath out. And we're keeping that bottom relaxed. Now we're going to hold this position. We are going to see if we can take a breath in, and we're going to squeeze those elbows to the bottom. Now as you push these hands forwards, imagine you're rolling a little tennis ball forwards and backwards. We're breathing out and breathing in. Focus on the squeeze backwards, less on the forwards, more on the backwards. Breathing out, breathing in. Good. Breathing out. Let's take one more. And squeeze back. Relax those arms down. Wonderful, chums. Let's see if we can just push that tail to the knees and come into our child's pose position. Breathe out. Reach with those fingertips forwards. Draw those shoulder blades down the back towards the bottom. And then bring those elbows in. There is so much more I want to do with you, but I'm just going to keep it to one or two exercises so that this uploads quite easily. So we're going to finish off with that kneeling position, swimming legs. So she says, pulling her trousers up. Let's just make sure we're evenly placed. Let's make sure we've not got that arch in the back. Let's make sure we've got that nice neutral spine. We're going to look at those invisible lines at the top of the fingertips. We're going to draw the shoulders away from the ears. Then we're going to push this toe as if we're pushing through wet sand, squeezing the bottom, lengthening and down. It's slow and controlled. Watch that this doesn't happen. Look at my back. I'm actually arching my back to get that leg up, so squeeze the buttocks. Good, now I'm going to make sure I'm not looking at you, I'm going to look at me, squeeze and down. Let's see if we can do 4 on the other leg. Now, we're going to take a little cat stretch, push into the palms of those hands, come back to that neutral spine position. If we did want to make it more challenging, we could add that opposite arm movement. Okay, so we can do 4 either side. Make sure that trunk stays stable. And if you're not sure, come back to just the legs. Now for those of you, keep going for your 4. For those of you who can't come on your knees, we're going to remember our swimming legs in a prone position. Squeeze and down. Squeeze and down. If we want to bring the arms in, opposite arm, opposite legs. Good. Keep going, guys, keep going, because what I'm going to say, if those of you who've got shoulder injuries, try not to overreach, okay? And it's no harm leaving the arms out. So if you do struggle with your shoulders, just do the legs only. Focus on holding yourself with that strong arm position, and drawing those shoulder blades down the back towards the bottom. Okay, everyone, let's just relax there. Let's bring ourselves up into that kneeling position. Let's come into that cat stretch. Really push that tail towards your knees. And then from there, let's come into that cat. I've forgotten what it's called. Let's not worry about it. And slide those shoulders away from the ears. Slide those elbows behind the knees. Let's see if we can lift this chest now. And I'm hoping we can just stretch out these hip flexors, and that will be it. So we're going to just see if we can take this one heel, okay, in front of the body. And then we're just going to see if we can lengthen through this spine. We're looking for this stretch here. So those hips are square on, shoulders are relaxed. We can increase the stretch by lifting the chest. Okay, so you could just start to lift that chest, only as far as you feel comfortable. And then we're going to keep breathing out, we're going to breathe in, and we're going to bring it back down. Okay, so I'm going to slide this other foot just as far as I think, yeah, that's about right. Remember, it's here we're stretching, and then only if I think, yeah, I could do a little bit more, I could be safe, do we then think about lifting that chest. Keep that belt-like muscle active. Okay, you can't see my face now, which many would say is a bonus. Okay, and then we're going to bring it down. Slide this foot backwards. Now normally we would finish our sessions in a standing position. So what we're going to do, if you prefer to stand, please roll up now. I'm actually going to bring myself into this seated position, straddle position. I'm going to take a little roll of the shoulders, relax the shoulders down. I'm just going to look towards my shoulder, take my hand, gently draw that head so I'm looking to the hip. Gently release, and we'll do the same on the other side. Gently release. And then we're going to finish just with a nice breath. Do as many of those as you feel comfortable. I'm going to bring my legs in. I'm going to say thank you for spending that beautiful, well, it was a little bit more than half an hour, but thoroughly enjoyed your company. Missing you all hugely, but well, let's look on this as an opportunity just to refine our technique. Take care, and if you've got any tips or anything you want to feed back to me, please let me know. Signing out, Sarah Tagg, at your service.